as young as 7 years old, and the oldest so far would be 18 years old. I have yet to receive anyone much older. That being said, I know there are some older learners out there who are still trying to manage with their dyslexia and their other learning difficulties. So if you come across any older learners, maybe the 40 years old or the 50 years old, and not sure where to get help, feel free to just drop me a message and I'll be happy to just figure out a way for you. Okay, all right, let's this is the exciting thing. Before I invite Ustazah Zubaida back, I would hope that you will prepare pen or pencil and a piece of paper ready. We will be doing lots of interactive activities. There'll be writing, there'll be questioning, and there'll be some scenarios where I will pretend to be that teacher who does not know anything, whether you have a learning difficulty or not. And then you will be my student who's just struggling and quietly struggling in my classroom. So we're just going to take on that persona just for a bit sometimes. So throughout this session, I will be doing activities. Hopefully it will keep you engaged, and I hope to be doing it as fun. A little limitation, I'm used to carry out workshops in front of a live audience. It's COVID-19 and we will embrace this. So I will try to make it as interactive as I can online. So if you have any questions at any time, feel free to put it in the chat. I believe Ustazah Zubaida will help me raise it up. Feel free to use the raise your hand app. Raise your hand button on the Zoom. I'll be more than happy to answer it on the spot. Otherwise, I will have intervals in between where I'll pause and I'll ask any questions so far, and feel free to ask at any time. Okay, shall we? Okay, Ustazah Zubaida, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so I need you to be my student right now, and I need you to read this short passage for me. I say I give you a preview, Okay, because it's about dyslexia. This is a preview. Okay, can you see the preview just now?
Yes, I did, but it's very short. Yeah, very short one.
Yes, okay. So here's the thing. You will be only given 30 seconds to read that. Okay, because from my understanding, you are an excellent reader. You are an excellent learner. You have no issues whatsoever. I think you can read pretty good. How's that, Ustazah Zubaida? Are you ready?
Yeah, is there any reward?
Oh, yes, that is right. The reward is that you will get to pick another person in Zoom to be the next volunteer for my next activity.
Okay, that's exciting. Let's do it.
So then the other person who is volunteered will also get the same reward. You'll pick another person and the name, and I will pick the other person.
All right, let's do this. Okay.
So let's begin. So Zubaida, please read this passage for me. You have 30 seconds.
Oh no. What is that? John and Bob. I don't know the first one.
Focus. You must focus. What are you doing?
Bob went from a walk. What to puppy? Okay. You like to pay Bob. Okay. See, John, I do not know. John replied, I guess.
Thank you very much. Okay, so can you tell me, before we move on, can you tell me the name of the next person who will be doing an activity for me?
I'll be glad to choose Miss Hasna O.
Miss Hasna O. Okay, I will sure to remember to call that person.
Thank you.
You can call me Hasna.
Okay.
O is my father's name.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Miss Hasna. I'll call you in a bit, so be standby.
No worries.
Okay, so that was actually a simulation of how a child with dyslexia will read for you. I'm not saying that's how it looks, or it's not how what they see when they read. When they read, it's just how they read. The way they read is very laborious, very full of difficulty. One day, I absolutely love her first impression was, what is this? That is the exact first reaction a lot of our children, our students with dyslexia will face, because to them, it's already very challenging to kind of decode the words one after another. And that would be the exact first reaction. I will be going through the passage later in a bit and how to tackle that as part of the strategies. But please allow me to just explain a little bit more about what is dyslexia. Okay, so dyslexia is actually break up into two words, dys and lexia. Dys, you might have come across the word dys. This is a prefix, so basically it belongs to the front of a word. Dys will probably come across dyspraxia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, but for today's purposes, we're going to be talking about dyslexia. So dys basically means difficulty. All right, dys means difficulty, and lexia comes from the word lexis, which is Greek in origin. Lexis basically means the stock of words or symbols that make words. So if you put dys and lexis together, you'll make dyslexia. So it basically means dys, difficulty with, and lexis with symbols that make words. Essentially, that's that. Okay, so learners, I'm going to use the word learners. Learners who have dyslexia would essentially have difficulty with symbols that make words. Essentially, that's that. Okay. All right, so these are right. These are the things that I'll be going through today. There are 3 parts to this workshop. The first one is I'll be going through the diversity of dyslexia. And the second one is the strategies, and the last one, the motivation. So the first part is the diversity of dyslexia. I'll be talking about 3 parts: extra time, mother tongue exemption, and core morbidity. All right. Okay. So dyslexia, the diversity of dyslexia is amazing. If I can show you twins, I actually have taught twins, and I can assure you these 2 twins are not the same. They both have dyslexia, and they don't have the same level of difficulty. So no one person has the same exact dyslexia. No one person has the exact difficulties as the other person. You can find all the learners with dyslexia, and you can see that each person and each individual have their own unique difficulties. But what I can tell you is they most probably need extra time. Just from the example of Ustazah Zubaida earlier, she was you see what she was doing, or what any learner with dyslexia was doing, is trying to decode the words, and they need the extra time. They need the extra time, and the extra time needed actually differs from one student to another student. So it really depends. So what's really important, as if you are an educator or if you are a parent who has dyslexia, it's really important to understand how much longer time they need. Now, as an educator, as for me, if I'm teaching a student with dyslexia, it's absolutely important that I receive the psychological report, because in the report, it will tell me how much more extra time the child might need. Okay, what do I mean by that? In the moment, I will let you hear this first. Okay, so this is a book that I read with my students, and you will see that there is actually a difference between one student and another student, even though the text is the same. All right, so let's start with this one here. This student here, he is in primary 1. Let's hear him read this text.
The rain comes.
The rain comes. The big river comes up. It
Break it up.
can.
Yeah, you got the can, correct? Yes. Okay, together.
Not come in my home.
This word again?
Home, house.
Yes. It cannot come in my house. Can you repeat after me?
Not come in my house.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So you see how the P1 student was really struggling. The word can and not, he was struggling hard to cut the words into half. And then clearly, because there is also a picture that's accompanying the text, so he is just reading it by looking at the word. They look similar. So it cannot come in my home. But in terms of accuracy, it's not really that accurate. So you can see that he struggles a lot for this student who is in primary 1. There is another one. This student is in primary 2, and you will see how different it is. Even though they both may have reading difficulties, it doesn't necessarily mean they will sort of read the same way. All right, here we go.
One more time, let's read the title.
Oh, not this one. Sorry.
The rain comes on the river. Comes
One more
up.
time. The
The
rain.
rain comes. The big river comes up.
Mhm.
It cannot come in my house.
Fantastic. Right. So you're right. The poles are
Okay, so that is how a primary 2 student, my other student reads. It's also, see, you can see it's very laborious, and it's just a lot of energy. And I can assure you, by the end of the reading session, they just really needed to take a break. They spend a lot of energy just trying to break the words up. So what's really important for them that is that they really need the extra time. And I'll give you a sample here. This is actually part of a sample report. Okay, so as an educator, it's important for me to have a valid psychological assessment report to understand how long the child needs, how long extra time the child needs. Let's look at point number 1. For confidential purposes, I had to remove the name. Let's just put Anwar. Okay, Anwar will need additional time, 25% in all exams and tests. So this would mean that for every maybe 60 minutes, then you would have to calculate 25% of the 60 minutes and things like that. There's another way that I've seen other reports that has been written in a way such as this student will need 15 minutes extra time for every 1 hour. I have seen those who need 25 minutes extra time for every 1 hour of the exam, some 30 minutes for every 1 hour for the exam. And I will have to emphasize that the additional time differs from one student to another student. It really differs. Now, what it tells me is that perhaps when I look at the extra time needed by a particular student, they may have difficulty reading, or they may have a poor working memory, or they may have a weak processing speed. So then I would have to refer to the data that's given by the psychologist and read up. And then it helps me to understand what exactly are the needs of the child. All right. So a student with dyslexia would really benefit from a report, so that the educator can understand what the child really needs. And so the diversity of dyslexia is that one student will probably need more extra time as compared to another student. Okay, so take a moment. Any questions so far? If you have any questions, you may unmute your mic for now. Everybody okay? Okay, let's move on with regards to extra time. The extra time is recognized by the ministry. So if the report is valid and it is stated that the student needs extra time, he will be given the extra time for his class test, for his school exam, and even for national exams such as PSLE, N-level, O-level, A-level, whatever national exam that the child might be sitting or the student might be sitting. What's important is that the report will need to be valid. Okay, the report will be valid and it will have to be submitted to SEAB. So then there's a process that can be done. Usually the teachers or the form teacher in the classroom will assist you in this application of extra time. All right. Okay, so that's extra time.
Can I have a question?
Yes, please.
The child will need to go for some kind of assessment before you all come out with the
That's right.
percentage of, yeah? Yes?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, the student will have to will have to go through an assessment, and after which what the process would be, the psychologist will do a couple of tests towards the child, and then the report will be generated, and we have to sit down with the parent to discuss what are the future steps and things like that. Yeah. And if the report becomes is expired or becomes invalid, the child would, or the student will be invited to retake the exams, the assessment, to see if the child needs any more additional extra time or he can already manage without the extra time. Okay, all right, so that is diversity of dyslexia. That's number 1. That's point number 1. Something will need additional time, 25%. Number 2, he will benefit leniency in its marking and spelling. Now, this is also quite good if they get some form of accommodation, because especially in, like, let's say in math, when you have to do word problems, you know, those problem sums towards the end where you're supposed to write, he has how many apples? And sometimes the students will, my students will spell has wrongly. but the teachers will not mark them down because of the word has, because it doesn't really have any effect on math. So that accommodation is good. The last one, the number 3 that I want to point out, he will continue to need exemption from assessment in mother tongue. Yes, so the next point that I'm going to be talking about is mother tongue exemption. Our students with dyslexia, sometimes they will need to be exempted from their mother tongue. So maybe the child currently, before the assessment, the child is learning English and Bahasa Melayu at the same time. Now, maybe because from the assessment, the psychologist has found out that English is a bit too much for the child. It's like, oh, it's just too much. Maybe he is considered to be severely dyslexic. So the psychologist will suggest that the child drop his Malay and does not need to sit for Bahasa Melayu exams for PSLE or N-level, O-level, and things like that. Similar goes to the Mandarin language or the Tamil language. If psychologists find that the child is really struggling with the English language, then the psychologist will suggest to drop the other second language. Yeah, that being said, not all of our children or our students with dyslexia will need MT exemption. Yeah, there are I've seen some of my students who need additional help in their English language. They are not severely dyslexic, nor are they mildly dyslexic. They are managing okay. Yet they have not been suggested to drop the mother tongue language because it appears that they can manage it. Yeah, it's actually very possible. So it's really important for educators to refer to the report so that they can really understand how diverse the needs of the child are. Yeah, so does he need extra time? Is he exempted from mother tongue? And this too is actually recognized. And once it is submitted through SEAB, it will be applied for their class tests, their school exams, and also the national exams. Okay. Taking a breather, all good? Okay. The last part that I'm going to be talking about is, so we've covered extra time, we've covered mother tongue exemption. The last one, core morbidity. This is my favorite because it's always a new challenge for me to come across a new student. This picture is taken from my IG page. It's one of my favorite visuals that I've come across. I absolutely fell in love with this image the moment I saw it. I had to take it and put it and immortalize it on my IG page. Okay, so core morbidity basically means having two core. Morbidity, having two. So majority of my students with dyslexia, they don't just have dyslexia, they have dyslexia and something else. Yeah. So I may have two students in a class. Maybe one student will have dyslexia and ADHD, but then the other student will have dyslexia and dyscalculia. And then the needs are different and I would have to address that differently. All right, so once again, the report comes in handy for me because then I can understand, does he have dyslexia and ADHD, and what kind of attention regulation does he need? Is he the inattentive kind, or is he the sort that needs regulation in terms of attention because he gets very distracted easily? And all that. And then if the other student with dyslexia also has dyscalculia, that it gives me an idea, how it gives me an idea of how weak his working memory is and how much I can support that in a way. Yeah, so the term that is up and coming is called neurodiversity, which means so for learners or for anybody else who does not have any learning difficulties, we are referred to as neurotypical. So neurotypical versus neurodiverse people. Neurodiverse people are basically learners who would have these comorbidities. As you look at the image there is dyslexia, there is dyscalculia. Yeah, let me use this. And then there's DCD. DCD is developmental coordination disorder. Another word will be dyspraxia, something to do with movement. Then DLD is developmental language disorder. Yeah, SLT or speech language therapist will work more here. And then there's the ASC. Some countries, they use the word ASC, but in Singapore, we refer to that as ASD. ASD is autism spectrum disorder. ESC is similar, it's just autism spectrum condition. Some other countries uses ASC, in Singapore we use ASD. And then there's also Tourette syndrome, and just based on yesterday's session, this one is called ADHD. All right, so basically the diversity of dyslexia is, so as an educator or as a parent, it is absolutely important that we get hold of a psychological report, because then we can really understand what the child needs and we can cater to the child's needs accordingly. Okay? Okay. Everybody, all right, any questions? So this is one of the intervals that I'm pausing for a while. Any questions for now in terms of understanding the diversity of dyslexia? Yeah, okay. So are we ready to go on to the next one? Learning friendly strategies to support reading, spelling, and writing. Oh, Nurul Ain raised hand. Yes, Nurul Ain, you have a question?
Yes. I just one question. I just want to know, usually for children who are diagnosed with dyslexia, what is the most significant age where dyslexia is being identified at?
Okay. All right. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
The most significant age. Okay. So I understand there are some organizations that conduct preschool intervention. I understand there is a preschool intervention, but for a child to be properly diagnosed and to be assessed by a psychologist, the child has to turn 6 years old. So any younger than 6 years old will probably just use a screening. So we won't be the child will not be going through tests such as the IQ test or the reading test and things like that. They'll just go through a screening and they'll probably tell you the probability of having dyslexia. So anything that comes, the results that comes out with the screening, it's just some red flags. It is a good start to see how we can support the child. But once again, it's not a report. So it's not a valid report for it to be submitted to anything or anywhere. So I'm pausing because there are so many areas to answer that question. So let me, so basically, a child can be formally diagnosed at 6 years old, but if you are already seeing red flags, as the question is, how young can I bring this up? Anytime it is impeding any learning, it is good to raise it up because early intervention is the best intervention. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Miss Hannah, there's a question on the from the floor by Miss Siti Aisha.
Okay.
While waiting for the result of the assessment, right? Can parents or educators use the strategies that will be introduced by you?
Yes.
Later on?
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the question. Yes. The strategies here, you can still use the strategies here. In a way, this is like a buffet. So what I'm offering is a buffet of things. So if you go to a buffet, we miss buffet, all this COVID cannot go buffet. So anyway, imagine yourself being at a buffet. So and the buffet, you'll see all the things there and you just pick whatever that suits you best. So what I'm offering is the exact same thing. I'll be sharing a couple of strategies and you can choose and pick what suits your learner best. Yes, so it may work for the child or you may need to fine tune it. But nonetheless, that being said, you may still use the strategies here. Not an issue. Okay.
All right. We have one more from Miss Amalina. Is there any form of prevention or strategies to prevent a child from having dyslexia?
Okay, preventive strategies, I would say we can have strategies to manage the dyslexia. I'm afraid the direct answer to that question is we are unable to prevent a child from having dyslexia. Dyslexia is a neurological difficulty. Neurological comes from the word neuro comes from the word brain. So dyslexia is a difficulty that starts from the brain. The issue is that only parts of the brain are activated when they are required to do reading, spelling, or writing. Yeah, so a neurotypical person, when they are reading, spelling, or writing, a couple of things light up in their head, and that's the part where it's activated. And then for neurodiverse students, specifically those with dyslexia, these areas are not activated. So there, in a way, we can't really prevent them or to prevent dyslexia from happening because it's in the brain and we can't really see exactly how much is being activated. It's 100%, it's 75%, or 50%, we don't know. So we can't in a way prevent them. Nonetheless, it can be managed with strategies as long as you follow up with routines and habits. Yes. Okay. I love these questions. Okay, so I think we've covered those questions. Am I going too fast? I get too excited sometimes and I'm just like, so I will remember to slow down. And thank you very much for the feedback. So I will remember to slow down. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if there are no more questions, just I will carry on with the strategies. All okay? Okay. All right, let's move on then. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so I love this. Okay, every time before the start of any lesson, I like to do a short activity for my students. So I think I'm going to stop sharing this first and I'm going to see the gallery. We are going to do a short brain exercise. Oh, a lot of you have turned on your camera, turn off your camera. Okay, so basically what you have to do is, firstly, okay, this one I'm not so great. So on your one hand, take your thumb out. And then on the other hand, take your pinky finger out. My camera is not catching it. Okay, so it has to be in one direction. Okay? All right, so then you'd have to move the other way. See, I'm struggling too. That's a brain exercise. Okay, so we'll try to do this 5 times in a row. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How's everybody doing? I see a couple of you quite good at this, faster than me. Okay, let's do another 5 more times. Maybe it's beginner's luck for some of you. I refuse to admit defeat. Okay, let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Okay, there's also another brain exercise. This one I'm very confident because I've tried it a lot of times. Okay, so you gotta shoot the bunny. Can you see that? You've got to shoot the bunny and then you got to switch. Okay. The bunny has to go outwards like that, not inwards. It has to go outwards. Okay. And then the gun goes this way. Are you ready? Okay, good. A couple of you doing it. Okay, ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's try that slightly faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Okay, so that was actually just a short brain exercise. Something about the right brain communicating with the left brain and the left brain communicating with the right brain. So I usually just do that to kind of perk the brain up a bit. Okay, let's get back to what we were supposed to be talking about. Right, okay, so game time and yeah. All right, so let's see. All right, so this is the passage that Ustazah Zubaida went through earlier. No, you're not supposed to be reading that first. Stop moving. Okay. So, Ustazah Zubaida, are you still there?
Yes, yes. Oh,
okay. Okay, sorry. This comes as a surprise. Right. So just now you read the passage, correct?
Yes.
And then you called so I'm gonna just
Kak Hasna O.
Yes. Okay. So can I please call upon Kak Hasna?
Can, right?
Yes. Okay. So you managed to see the passage also, right? While Ustazah Zubaida was reading.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. What did Bob want to do that day?
No, I didn't really read through. It's very difficult to read through.
Why you never read? Huh? You dreaming, is it?
It was because all the letters are jumbled up, so you know,
yes,
can't read it properly, and at the same time, you can think about what you're reading actually.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good sharing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you cannot answer question 1, can you answer question 2? What is Orville Redenbacher?
No.
No. Question 3?
No.
No. Question 4?
No.
Okay lah, then never mind.
So
Thank
sorry.
you. It's
Because
okay.
I was I really read
No,
through.
that is supposed to be the activity. You're not supposed to be
Right.
able
Okay.
to read. Okay. So Kak Hasna, as a reward, can you pick someone from so that someone could read or do my activity next?
Miss Noraisia.
Nur Asia? Asia or Aisia?
Norasia.
Nur Asia. Is it the
Yes.
name on the Zoom? Nur Asia?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Nur
yeah.
Asia. Okay, I will call that person next. Nur Asia. Whoever you are, Nur Asia, you're up next. Okay, thank you, Kak Hasna. Okay, so we are now going through the strategies on how to help a child with dyslexia in their reading. All right. In this case, comprehension reading. So we're going to assume that that was the passage that we used, and these are the questions that we're going to do. The comprehension questions that we're going to do today. What I usually do with my students is, number 1, I will tell them, okay, you know what, the passage is a bit long, it's going to be a bit challenging, but that's okay. Number 1, let's read the questions first. Okay, I think this is a trick that a lot of the educators use anyway, whether you're teaching neurotypical or neurodiverse students. Let's read the questions first. And then number 2, we are something. Yes. Okay. So we're going to do the CUB method. So this is a strategy. One of the strategies we use to help our students with dyslexia. We do CUB. So what does CUB means? C means to circle the question stem. All right. So let me circle. All right, let me circle the question stem. So circle the question stem refers to the 5W1H. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Circle first. Because our students are visual learners, so they will need to slow down to kind of see what goes where. Okay, so C, circle. U means underline. Okay, underline the tense markers. So who did this? Who was doing that? What was she doing? So the was and the did and the will and the would, so that they can understand whether the answer that needs to be written down should be written in the past tense or should be written in the present tense. So they have to refer to that. And then C, U, and B. B refer to box the key phrase. So this one is to box the keyword or the key phrase. All right. So let's go through the questions. Let's see how we can do C. I'm going to write down here. C, U, B. So let's circle first. We do the circle first. Okay, students, let's do your CUB first. Let's see. Number 1, what did Bob want to do that day? Okay, we circle this one. What? And then did. Underline did Bob want to do that day? So it's probably this one. What did Bob want to do that day? Okay. And let's look at question 2. Yes, the circle is what? You circle the what. So then the tense marker is correct. And then you box the Orville Redenbacher. Good. Okay. Let's look at question number 3. Look, my favorite. Whose favorite was it? Okay, so what do we circle? Yes, we circle whose. And what do we underline? Underline was. Whose favorite was it? So we're gonna figure out what was the favorite here. Okay, last question. Why do you think they have to put it in the microwave? So you circle why. Then do you think they have to put it in the microwave? Okay, so that kind of forces the child to see what to look out for. Just by reading through the questions, you already have an idea what the passage is going to be about, right? A bit of an idea. Okay, so let's call upon the next the next volunteer. Nur Asia, is it? Nur Asia, are you there? Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so Nur Asia, can you tell me what this passage is about, do you think, just based on what we've done the CUB? No right or wrong answers because this is just a discussion before we read the passage.
Yeah, okay. So Bob wanted to do something that day,
Mhm.
and he was pointing out, or somebody in the passage was pointing out their favorite thing or item
Okay.
and something that needs to be put in the microwave.
Right. Okay, good. So you have already a big idea. So assuming that, just pretend that you have dyslexia and this already gives you an idea what the passage is about. Okay, so let's try to read this knowing that you have some difficulties. So let me know if you can answer any of the questions, okay? Okay, you may begin. One day.
So read the passage out.
Yes, if you and read the passage, and if you think you can answer any questions, you just, hey, I think this is question number, something.
Okay.
Mm.
So one day,
Mhm.
John and Bob went for a walk.
Yes.
What to something?
Okay.
What something you like
Uh-huh.
today?
Okay. Bob asked John.
John, yeah. Then I don't know. John
Replied.
replied. Okay.
Uh-huh.
What would you like to do?
Okay.
I think I might
Mm-hmm.
something watching a
Right.
movie and TV.
Right.
So that is number one. Maybe?
Yes, there we go. You see how that helped a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you already have an idea of what it is. It's really, I know it's really quite hard for you, but thank you. Thank you, Narasia. All right. So to end the misery for everyone, this is the
Teacher,
passage.
you forgot her reward.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Okay. So Nur Asia, could you pick someone from the crowd to be the next person to volunteer for my activity?
I shall call upon Miss Ayu Ahmad.
Ayu Ahmad. Okay, Miss Ayu Ahmad, you'll be up next. Thank you, Nur Asia. Okay, so and thank you very much for the reminders, Azwaida. Reward very important, very good. Okay, so this is to end everybody's misery. This is actually the passage. One day, John and Bob went for a walk. What would you like to do today? Bob asked John. I don't know, John replied. What would you like to do? I think I might enjoy watching a movie on TV, especially if we can have some popcorn. Wow, said John. Popcorn, what a great idea. Let's check the cupboard to see if my mother bought some the last time she was shopping. Look, he yelled, a full box and it's Orville Renderbacher. My favorite. Great, Bob shouted. Let's put it in the microwave and see how it turns out. All right, so just by this, you can already answer a lot of the questions already. But we're not going to go answer all the questions. Okay, I should. Okay, so what is Orville Renderbacher? Orville Renderbacher is a brand of a popcorn. It's very, very rare to find. I only found it in Giant only a few weeks back. Yeah, it's very rare. When I first started doing this, I went to talks. Majority of them have no idea what's Orville and Renderbacher, except for one when I went to a bank to conduct a talk. And I remember this person, he was Caucasian. And then he said, I know what's Orville Renderbacher. It's a popcorn brand. You know, I guess that brand is pretty popular back in his hometown. Yeah. So this takes a bit of background knowledge for him to answer. But unfortunately for us, we may not have background knowledge and we really depend on our skill to read the passage. Number 3, whose favorite is it? So it's Bob. And why do you think they have to put it in the microwave? To pop the popcorn. Okay. Did I manage to end your misery? I hope I did. Okay, so we went through that passage just now. I think at least 3 people went through this difficulty. So basically the difficulty is that they would have to spend a lot of energy to decode the words. All right, so let's say I'm going to use the word cat, C-A-T. They have no idea how to read the word cat. They'll go k, but the letter C can also make the S sound. Okay, but Miss Hannah said letter C makes a soft C sound when it's followed by E-I-Y. Okay, so it should be k, cat. By the time they decode it, they have very little energy left to understand the passage. So they are putting a lot of energy reading a word, just reading without understanding yet. Understanding is just another energy on its own. So these are some of the difficulties that our students with dyslexia will face, and it will be very beneficial if they can be granted that extra time. Okay, all right, so here are some of the other learning friendly strategies. So firstly, just now we went through CUB, circle, underline, and box when doing a comprehension passage. Some other learning friendly strategies here would be number one, fonts. You'd have to be very careful here because some of my students with dyslexia may not be able to identify the letter A and this A. True story. They'll be like, "Che, what's this? My nickname, Che, Miss Hannah, not sure enough. Che, what is this, Che?" So there are some students who may struggle with this text. So we need to be mindful when we are giving them any text that we print out. Number two, do not justify text. This is, I got it straight from the horse's mouth. You know how you make, there is this icon at the top of the Microsoft Word where you can do it on the left or put it on the right or put it in the middle. And then there's one more that says justify. Don't justify that. I actually didn't know this until I was presenting in front of a group of adults, and one of them was an adult with dyslexia, and I just justified the text, and she just went, "Farhana, I think you should not justify." She just said it as that. And basically what she says was, because when we justify the text, it does not, the spaces are irregular, and it makes them even harder to read. Like, sometimes the CAT might make it slightly big, might be made bigger, and then then they don't know whether this should be one word or two words. It confuses them. So do not justify the text. Spacing 1.5 or more, it's helpful because it kind of helps to differentiate one line from the other. Okay, number two, comprehension passages on single pages. I have seen some accommodation, formally in a psychological report. Yeah, I understand schools nowadays are doing this, which is good, with or without the exam accommodation. This is something which is important because you don't want the kid to be like, then Bob and John went to the park. What? Then if the kid full working memory, by the time turn over, forget already. Yeah. Where? Then he takes longer time to kind of figure out which line. Not helpful for the child. So comprehension passages on single pages, or any passages for single pages, would be very helpful for the student with dyslexia. Okay. And this one is help to syllabicate some word. Now, this is something I'll be going through in a bit. Syllabicate basically is another word for cut the words. Sometimes a very long word, sometimes a very short word. The question is, how can we help cut the words for the child? And I'll be going through in a bit. Okay. There is a chat there. Thank you very much. Okay. Syllabication patterns. 1 minute. No, this one is not Magic Cup. I cannot speak to another language like PM Lee. Okay, syllabication. There are actually a lot of syllabication patterns just for today's purposes. And with the time that I have, I will only go through 2 syllabication patterns. Okay, one is referred to as rabbit words, and the other one referred to as pancake words. There are many patterns. So just for today, once again, I'll go through them, just this. Let's go through together, okay? Do you have your paper and your pen or pencil with you? We're gonna learn how to cut the words together, okay? So rabbit words are such. First and foremost, when we see a word, from left to right, we need to identify the first 2 vowels. So let's look at the first word. Let's say really don't know how to read the word. We really have no idea. The first step, number 1, find the first 2 vowels that you can see. Okay, so I think I'll change the color. Okay, so then the first 2 vowels, I have to underline and put V. Okay. Once I find the first 2 vowels, I will label the consonants in between the 2 vowels. Label the consonants in between the vowels. So the consonants here are C, C. Okay. So with that pattern, I see a VCCV in this pattern. I follow this pattern, I cut here. Okay. So this part, the first part, rab, I would have to pronounce it rab. And then the second part is b, it, rabbit. Okay, all right. Any questions so far? I'm going on to the next one. Don't know how to read at all. So the student comes and says, I don't know how to read. Okay, let's try this together. What are the first two vowels that you can see? Yes, from left to right, from left to right. Must follow the sequence from left to right. So the first vowel that you can see or we can see is here. First one. And second one. Okay. And then what are the two consonants in between? Two consonants here and here. Here we go. And then we got like that. So it's sub, s, ah, b, sub, j, t, jet, subject. So they will first go subject. And then they will try to combine it again. Subject. Subject aja. Yeah, it usually takes about 2 or the third time for them to kind of process the words. Subject macam like maths and science aja. Yeah, subject. Excellent. Okay. Sometimes the VCCV pattern doesn't usually have to be in the middle. Sometimes it can be brought forward a little bit. Let's look at the third word. Okay. So what are the first two vowels you can see here? Yes, this one here. And this one here. What's next? Label the two consonants. Okay. There we go. And then we're gonna cut, right? So then the first one is in, the, dex, index, index, index. Okay, so that's the first pattern, VCCV pattern. All right, a couple of words, next words, you ready? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a few more minutes just to do this. I'll give you, I'll do a countdown of 1 minute. At the end of about 1 minute, we'll go through the answers together. Okay, you may begin.
Miss Hannah, I was just
Yes.
wondering,
Mhm.
can it be cut into 3 portions? Like for
Yes.
example, umbrella.
Yes, it can be cut into 3 portions. So the pattern in a longer word, there will be more than one patterns in there. Yeah, so this is just 2 syllabic words. So you can only find this pattern. But if you have a longer word, there will be more patterns that you can find. Yeah, so yeah, that would need a bit more other trainings and sharing sessions for that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you've got about 18 more seconds. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much. Right. Dismiss. Okay, so Nur Asia just now has called upon Ayu Ahmad. Is there an Ayu Ahmad here?
Yes, that's me.
Thank you very much. Okay, Miss Ayu Ahmad, could you please help me out to cut the word until? What is the
Okay.
first step that I should be doing?
So you have to identify the first two vowels,
Okay.
which is the letter U and the letter I.
Okay, good.
And then identify the consonants in between. Two consonants. The first one is letter N, and then the second one is letter T.
Okay.
And then you can cut it in between, in the middle there, so it becomes until.
Excellent. Okay, good. Thank you very much, Miss Ayuni Ahmad. Miss Ayu Ahmad. Would you like to get another person, please?
Yes, please. Can I call Miss Hajar if she's available?
Miss Hajar, Miss Hajar on the floor, please. Miss Hajar.
Yes.
Yes, Miss Hajar. Thank you very much. Okay, so I want to give you a heads up. This one is a bit of a trick question. The next word is a trick question. So I tell you first. Okay? Okay. So, Miss Hajar, can you tell me what is the first step that I should do?
Is to choose the vowels first. So there's
Okay.
A,
Okay.
U,
Okay.
and I.
Ah,
There's
okay.
three.
There's three, exactly. Okay, so everybody, here is the trick. In the English rule, Q and U sticks like glue.
Oh.
Yes. So when you see, think of the word queen and the Q up, and the quiet, the Q and U always stick together. So when I teach my students, right, I always say Q and U stick together. And so when they're together, they're considered as a consonant. Okay, so let's try that again. So now that you know that U belongs to Q and it doesn't, in a way, doesn't belong as part of the vowel, right? So what is the second vowel that I will need to underline?
I.
Excellent. Okay. So then what comes next?
The consonant.
Okay. There's one consonant, and the next consonant is?
L.
It's Q and
Q.
U. Q and U will be together because Q and U is considered one. Okay, and then what's next?
Then half split the word.
Yes, thank you. Then how would this be pronounced?
Tran. Quill.
Quill. Yes,
Quill.
Yes. So I would have to label this I because that's the vowel. Tranquil. Thank you very much. Okay, can you pick the next person, please?
Can I get Miss Liana?
Miss Liana, please, on the floor.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, Miss Liana, please do me the honors. Let's do the first step. What is the first step?
The first step is to take the vowel, which is the O.
Good.
Then N is the consonant.
Okay.
Q, U is a consonant.
Okay.
Then I is a vowel.
Very good. Okay, so I'm just going to pause there. We would always have to follow the sequence, vowel, all the vowels first.
Okay.
Always the vowels first. So V first, followed by your identification was correct. So yes, followed by C. Okay. And then what's next, Miss Liana?
L is a consonant.
Okay. Anything after that, we probably don't need to identify. Yeah, for this pattern at least.
So you have to cut in between the N and the Q.
Excellent.
Right.
And then, how would I pronounce this?
John Quill.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Miss Liana. Can you pick the next person, please?
I don't know. Mr. Raikan.
Mr. Raikan. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll put that on pause first. Okay, because we are going to the next one. Okay, so we are done with the rabbit word. There are a lot of rabbit words here. And so I've just covered a bit of the rabbit words or the VCCV pattern. They're not really called rabbit words, it's just that it's easier to refer the VCCV pattern as such. So short form is rabbit words. The next pattern that I'll be going through is called the pancake words or the VC/CVCE words. Now, before I go through this, I will need to show you a short video about magic E. What do we need to understand about magic E? Okay, let me show you that YouTube. Let me open this. Okay. Okay. Can you see that screen there? Yes, you can. Okay, so let's let me see if I can share the sound up here. Share sound. Right, so everybody can hear. Okay, let's understand what is magic E first before I can introduce pancake words.
Discover the magic power of E. Be amazed by the heroic E as it gives all its strength to weak vowels, leaving nothing left for itself. It's an ordinary day for E when... This weak little vowel can only make a weak sound.
A hat.
What's this? T is closing in the vowel, making it weak. That weak vowel needs power. This is a job for Magic E. The magic E goes to the end of the word. It sends all its power to the vowel. Now the strong vowel says its name.
A. Hate.
But E has no power left to make a sound. Later that day,
More weak vowel sounds that need my power.
Pin. Cub.
E to the rescue. I. Pine. U. Cube.
please remember the heroic sacrifice of the magic E. It makes no sound. All its power is gone to make the vowel strong enough to say its name. And that's the story of Magic E.
Okay, so that is a video of Magic E. I've just received a message that Mr. Haiko, I think the next person's duty calls, Miss Hannah. Thank you. Okay, so back to Miss Liana. Could you pick another volunteer, please? Okay, back to Miss Liana. Could you pick another volunteer, please?
Haryanti.
Haryanti, okay. Haryanti, can you on the floor? Let me while I
Hi, Farhana.
Hi. Let me share my screen. Okay, I will call you in a bit. I'm just going to show you how it's done first. You will help me out with the second word. Okay, Miss Haryanti? Okay. All right, here we go. So we're going to go through Pancake Words. Just now I had to introduce the magic E because... Okay, I had to do magic E because this is a type of a word that is, it cuts a little bit differently. Because you see, as you can see here, the word pancake has 3 vowels. So then how do we deal with such a pattern? Okay, so I'll show you how it's done first. So the first step is find the first 2 vowels, always the first 2 vowels. So first 2 vowels is this one here and the letter A here, okay? And then the next step, again, here, the 2 consonants in between. All right, so cut here. Okay, so this one here, it's pronounced pan, pan, okay? So this other part here, the second part here, we are looking at a different syllable type. A syllable type is the type of a word that we're looking at. So this syllable type is called a magic E syllable. So once you see an E at the back, sometimes our students pronounce it kake. Kake, in the back, pronounce it je. No, so this is how you would have to show the child or the student how to pronounce it. So the E at the back gives the power to the A. So instead of making a short vowel sound, A, it becomes the A sound. So the E gives the power to the letter here. It makes the A sound. So then it is now pronounced pancake. Okay. All right. So we're calling upon Miss Haryanti. Right. Are you there, Miss Haryanti?
Yes, Farhana, you look very familiar.
Could you help me with the next word, please?
The next one is octane.
Okay. What is the first step that I should be doing?
We should identify the first 2 vowels,
They are.
which is the O and then A.
Okay, good. Identify the first 2 vowels, left to right. And then what's the next step? Oh, a bit laggy.
And then we
okay. Okay. And then?
E and T.
Okay. Okay, so then.
And then where split it into 2.
Okay.
The E gives power to the A. So we don't say octane, we say octane.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Miss Haryanti. Miss Haryanti, could you please pick the next participant?
How about Madam or Miss Hasna? Oh,
back to Miss Hasna. Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Haryanti. Okay. Miss Hasna, we will get back to you later in the next page. That's when I'll give you 1 more minute to try out. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at this again one more time before I give you 1 minute to try out the 3 words next. So we'll take 1 vowel here, and another vowel here. And then you label the 2 C's in between. Okay, you're getting good at this. Very fast. I can do very fast. Then, okay, you label here. And then this E here is silent because it's giving all the powers to you, and therefore it's pronounced excuse. Okay, so I will be giving you 1 minute to try these 3 words. And then I will call upon the next volunteer. You may begin. Okay, you've got about 30 more seconds. Ten more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. I think I'm running out of volunteers. But that's okay. I appreciate the current volunteers that have volunteered. Okay, so let's do a recap on this one here. First vowel here, second vowel here, consonant, consonant, cut. This is I, and then the power given up to the I, and this is pronounced I, inside, inside. Okay, all right. Let's call upon Kak Hasna. Can we have you back again? Can you help me out with this second word, please?
Okay, we identify the vowels first.
Okay, they are.
O and O.
Okay.
Okay, and then the consonant will be the consonant will be the M.
Okay.
And D.
Okay.
Right. Then give E to the power of O.
Okay, we cut first.
Yes, cut. Sorry. Yep.
All
right. So we have
and then
from O. So
yes.
we give E to the power of O.
Yes, excellent.
Right. All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that's that. All right, the last one I want to go through, this one is a bit tricky. Not say so tricky lah. Okay, is this one, normal steps. I'm just going to go through quickly. Now, if a student does not have the knowledge about this letter C right here, let me change the color. This one, this C right here, it might be quite difficult. It might be quite challenging for the child because it would be concise, but it's not exactly concise. So there's another rule here, okay, and it's called the soft C rule. Okay, so this letter C makes the letter C makes 2 sounds. The letter C makes a K sound, and it also makes the S sound, a soft S sound. It makes the soft S sound when it's followed by the letters E, I, and Y. Okay, so I'm going to write it down here. It's followed by the letters E, I, and Y. Soft C sound. Right, so if the child is reading for you, it's con, and then he pronounces guys, technically it's not wrong, but we have to remind the child or the learner, okay, the letter C here is followed by the letter I, which means a soft C rule applies. So if it's a soft C rule, what sound does the letter C make then? So it makes the S sound. Okay, it makes the S sound. So it would be pronounced as concise, concise. Okay, okay. All right. So I have gone through syllabications. I've only gone through 2. These are the VC/CV words or VC/CVCE words. There are a lot of other patterns. You can simply Google them. You can Google syllabication patterns, and there are a lot of visuals to help you with it. This is just one of them. Just now Ustazah Zubaida was saying something about what like the word umbrella, there will be more than one vowel. So the syllabication division rules will tell you how and when to cut the words accordingly. according to the number of vowels and things like that. So simply just Google syllabication patterns. In order to be doing that effectively as well, it would be good if you can also read up on clover syllable types. So just now, what I did was actually, I didn't go through closed syllable and the magic E syllable. Like just now, the word pancake, pan is actually a closed syllable. Then you'll be like, okay, what is closed syllable? And then the other cake is a magic E syllable. Okay, what is magic E syllable? That's also information, extra information that you need to, we will need to read up and revise. You can Google that. The information out there is really, really just everywhere. I like visuals. Visuals are good. So the acronym for syllable types would be clover. As you can see here, I Googled clover syllable types. And then this came up. And there are basically lots of things that can teach you about the syllable types. So this will help you, or will help equip the child to read on its own eventually. Okay, so what we did earlier was just now the reading. So basically, one, we did the CUB, circle, underline, bracket, when we're dealing with comprehension passages. And then number two, I went through syllabication patterns, only two. I will be going through more of them actually. We're doing this more of syllabication and also morphology in part 2 of the talk, which is happening on the 30th of October. Okay, everybody okay? All right, so we are now going on to the second part, which is the spelling. Learning friendly strategies to support spelling. Let's go through this. Okay, so this one here, this simply says clap. It's very, very easy. I tell you, it's very easy one, very easy. Before I move on, anybody has any questions? I'll just open up, just wait for about 1 minute. You can type in the chat. Okay, no, all good? Okay, so let's do this. When I give you a word, I need you to just clap and tell me how many claps you can hear. Okay, like for example, the word Farhana, my name. Farhana. So that will be 3 claps. Okay, this is actually a strategy by itself, a spelling strategy. So what my students always say, yeah, right. How to spell this one? So then our reflex would be, before all this, you know, some of it, oh, hear what you sound, hear what you sound. Actually, the very first step we should be providing our students would be, can you please clap the words? Yeah, so let's say they're asking, how to spell introduction, Acha? Okay, how many claps are there? Introduction. Okay, so there are 4 claps, correct? Spell the word in first. More often than not, I can assure you, more often than not, our students, they can actually spell the first 2 claps. So it's not that they cannot spell. They just overwhelmed with information, then they just give up, just acha only. But actually, they can spell at least the first 2 claps. So when they ask, how to spell? Clap the words. Okay, can you try to spell the first 2 claps? So just now the word introduction, how many claps? 4. Okay, so spell in. Okay, then spell throw. Okay, then spell duck. That one I don't know actually. That's usually the third part. Depending on your student, maybe you can ask the student to spell the first 3 claps or first 2 claps. But usually I would encourage first 2 claps to just kind of gain their confidence a bit. So you know, it's actually you can actually spell what? Just the first 2 claps. Not so bad what? Better than nothing, right? All right, so do the claps. Okay, so I'm going to have a couple of words and I need you to tell me how many claps are there in these words, and you can just show me, like, you know, the number like that. So introduction, 4 claps. Farhana, okay, 3 claps. So you ready, everybody? Okay, so I'm gonna let's see, I want to make sure I can see everybody. Okay, so show me the number of fingers to show how many claps are there in this word. The next word is weakens. How many words are there in the, how many claps are there in the word weakens? Okay, 2 is correct. Next word is elephant. How many claps are there in the word elephant? 3 is correct. Next word, hippopotamus. How many claps are there in the word hippopotamus? Even I have to do it. No, you're faster than me. Yes, okay. Next word, encyclopedia. How many claps are there in the word encyclopedia? Alamak, how come I see different? Some say like this, some say like this. Oh, look at the chat. Oh, okay, let's see. Oh, let's lots of interaction here. Couple of you, a lot of you say 6, a lot of you say 5. Okay. Yeah, that one trick question. I always like to give trick question one. You all very good. Sharp, very sharp. Okay, so let's go through this. I'll give you a clue. Each clap must have a sounding vowel. Each clap must have a sounding vowel. Okay, so now let's go through the word encyclopedia. N-cy-clo-p-d. Congratulations to those who showed the number 6. Yeah, high 6. Okay. So encyclopedia. So basically what I'm trying to say is when we are going to help a child to cut the words, we have to ensure that each clap has a sounding vowel. Okay, let's try one last word. The word is osteoporosis. How many claps are there? Okay, let's look at the chat as well. Oh, look at everybody. Not bad, you all, can become the next Miss Hannah. Okay, so let's go through the word. Osteoporosis. Well done, everybody. So osteoporosis has 6 claps. So then you would encourage the child to get, okay, spell the word, first clap, os, os, and so on and so forth. Okay, right. So that is the first strategy we will have to encourage our students with dyslexia. If they are going to spell a word, how to spell a word? How many claps are there? Okay, let's spell the first clap first. Okay, that will help kind of break it up for them. Okay, the next part. So that's the first strategy for spelling words. Another strategy. Okay, so another strategy is this. I absolutely love this show. I just had to show this a bit. So please enjoy this super short song by this cartoon.
Paddington, Paddington, Paddington Bear, Paddington, Paddington, Paddington Bear. He came from Peru to be with me and you. He's a very rare sort of bear. P-A-double-D-I-N-G-T-O-N, Paddington Bear. P-A-double-D-I-N-G-T-O-N.
Okay. Oh, I missed out the spelling part. Let's try that again. Okay, so why I'm showing this is because music can help with spelling a little bit. I don't know if you managed to hear the last part of this show. It's one of my favorite shows to watch. The lyrics was actually P-A-double-D-I-N-G-T-O-N, Paddington Bear. So it's really a rhythm of sorts to help the child remember spelling. So you can see Paddington, it can be cut into words. Paddington. All right. So if the child for some reason asks, how to spell Paddington? First step is how many claps. So it's Paddington, 3 claps. Another way is probably to help the child to think of any songs that can help. So one of this is P-A-double-D-I-N-G. So any 10-letter word you can use the Paddington song. So Paddington got 10 letters. Oh, excuse me. So and then there's another one, the very famous B-I-N-G-O, B-I-N-G-O, bingo, and it's named for the Malay version, the Paatan ada kucing nama dia bingo, B-I-N-G-O. So basically what I'm trying to say is music also helps with the retention of words to spell. Okay, I'm sure you've come up with a couple of other ways. This one here I like. Okay, so just now remember I said the story about my so-called stage name, Miss Hannah, how Hannah came about. My name is Farhana. And I was wearing a badge. So the parents saw me wearing a badge and she just went close and said, can I just call you Hannah? So what she did was she found a familiar word in an unfamiliar longer word. So she found something familiar within an unfamiliar. And then that's how she managed to kind of come up with the name Hannah. So this is also what happened to my other student with dyslexia. I was teaching the child to replace the word said when doing writing. So when I was teaching writing, okay, you know what? In his writing, he basically said, John said, then Ali said, I was like, okay, maybe we want to replace the word said with replied. So then I was going to introduce re and plied. Re is a prefix. Plied is comes from the word ply. So I was going through that motion until he looked at the word. He just went like that. I remember this very distinctively. He just looked at, Cher, I can see the word lied, like the reptile lied. And I like, you know what? If that works for you, let's carry on with this. So one of the strategies we do also is to work with the strategy a child may see that we are not able to see. And we will follow up on that for 2 or 3 more sessions. And if that helps with the retention of memory, we'll stick to the child's strategy because it is meeting the child's needs. Okay, finding a familiar word in something unfamiliar, that is one strategy to help them with the spelling. So then the reptile light, rep light, clearly that's not how you pronounce it, but in his head, that's how he would spell it. Okay, so I have a couple of words here. So then we have replied and this word and that word and this word. I will give you about 30 seconds to find out a familiar word within this unfamiliar setting. Okay, so let's give you 30 seconds. Find a familiar word that you can see here. 30 seconds, you may begin now. I see the Ethan is interacting. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Okay, and another person who's this. Okay, thank you, Miss Hardianti and Miss Dia. Okay, I'll probably just give 5 more seconds. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so basically whatever that works for you or for the child, and we will work with that, and then we will follow up with 2 or 3 more sessions to see if it helps with the retention. So if you kind of see that it's not helping with the retention, then we might want to move on to another strategy to help the child remember the spelling. So far, so good. I'm not seeing anything wrong with that. This is what we have here. Discard. Okay. I need to discard that because it was, let's see, where am I? Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so these are some familiar words that you can find in an unfamiliar setting. So that's rep line, and then there's a bit. Now caterpillar, coincidentally, we kind of cut it up using our claps. Caterpillar. There's a cat and the pill. I think I had one student who said, "Cher, terpil also can." Then like, okay, tell me how you see it. So it's important to see that perspective, right? Tell me how you can still see it. Yeah, like, you know, like you terambil something. Ter in Malay means accidentally take something, right? Accidentally. So terpil, you accidentally eat the pill lah. Okay. Okay, let's see if it works for you, it works for you. And you know, it works for the child, it works for the student. Clearly it's an older student. And if it helps with the retention, teramakan pil, okay lah. If it works, it works. So essentially he sees that in a familiar setting. So that works for him too. All right, so that's the other strategy, finding familiar words in the long unfamiliar words. We are now going to do a game. I absolutely love my games. I wish I was doing this live, but it's okay. A live audience, but it's okay. You guys are doing great so far. Okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to get paper and pen. You are going to write dictation. You're going to do a dictation for me. Very easy, very easy, very easy. Dictation basically means you write down what I tell you to write. Okay, so just write down, just write down. Okay, just write down dictation. But here's the catch. Whatever vowels that you come across, vowels meaning A, E, I, O, U, you must change it to the @ sign. Vowels A, E, I, O, U, change it to the @ sign. Okay, for example, my name is Farhana. My students call me Miss Hana. So on your paper, you should be writing this down. Change all the vowels into the at sign. A, E, I, O, U. Okay, change it all to the at sign. Can or not? Okay, so with that, I'm going to start a dictation. My dictation, this dictation has 5 sentences, only 5. Okay, and you just have to write it down and then we'll discuss what are the things that you've gone through. I need a control person, control group. Macam if you will do an experiment, you need a control person. So I need a control. Is there, so this control person, control group will not have to change the at sign. Just now, the last person I called was Kak Hasna. Kak Hasna, do you think you can pick another volunteer for me, please?
Okay, Najmi, please.
Okay, so Miss
Thank you.
Najmi, hi, Miss Nazmi. You'll just have to do the dictation without changing to the at sign. Just normal dictation. For the rest of you, you will be going through a simulation of how a student with dyslexia will have to do dictation. Are we ready? Miss Hannah's ready? And here we go. The word osteoporosis, means porous bone, full stop. It is a disease. It is a disease that weakens bones, full stop. Osteoporosis means that you have less bone mass and strength. Osteoporosis means you have less bone mass and strength. The disease often develops without any symptoms or pain. The disease often develops without any symptoms or pain. It is usually not discovered until the weakened bones cause painful fractures. It is usually not discovered until the weakened bones cause painful fractures. Yes, I got a message here that says Y is also a vowel. Yeah, Y is a part-time vowel, but I don't want to go into details for that. But thank you for bringing it up. I'll probably address that in my part 2. So Miss Dia Ithnin says it's too fast. For the benefit of everyone, especially my control group, I will repeat this dictation one more time. Here we go. Last time. The word osteoporosis means porous bone, full stop. It is a disease that weakens bones, full stop. Osteoporosis means that you have less bone mass and strength, full stop. The disease often develops without any symptoms or pain, full stop. It is usually not discovered until the weakened bones cause painful fractures, full stop. Okay, that's all. Only 5 sentences. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. With that, let me get to my control group. Miss Najmi, are you there?
I am.
Yes, Miss Najmi. Did you manage to finish all 5 sentences?
Yes.
Yes. Did you face any difficulties?
Yes.
Yes. What were some of the difficulties that you faced?
I think because of the speed, that's one.
Speech.
And the speed of your speech, that's one. And then the other one is the spelling itself, because some words,
okay,
I was like, I can imagine I'm going through my brain and trying to open a cabinet file of words to reference to, you know, that's what went through my mind.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
So
and this is
then
not having to change the vowels into the at sign.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then because the feeling is I need to get word by word, I did not consider the capital letters, or I even not consider writing it nicely. I just went through it.
Okay.
So when you repeat it the second time, that's when I went through it and I discovered that I missed out a few words, and also I missed out a few present tense and past tense, things like that.
Wow.
Yep.
Those are some difficulties. Thank you, Miss Najmi.
Thank
Right.
you, Ms. Anna.
The control group is already, I say control group because in a live audience, I will pick 2 or 3 people, but I guess it's a control person. The control person is already shared a couple of difficulties now, and I'm gonna guess that those who have to change the add into the vowel sign would have even more difficulties. Can I get a consensus on that? How many of you actually managed to finish all 5 sentences? Oh, okay. How many of you managed to do only 4 sentences? 3. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. How many of you gave up? I'm getting a lot of I'm getting a lot of feedback from the chat. Me, give up, me, 4, 3, and all that. I had when I was doing this in front of a live audience in one of the MOE schools, I was really appreciative of this teacher. He was really into doing this activity that, you know, he was doing it and I purposely pick up the speed because sometimes as a teacher we are not aware that we are fast, you know, and then, you know, you're like, oh, you know, get it over and done with, and things like that. Things happen, you know, we're only human, things happen. And then actually the teacher in the live audience back then, he was just really doing this. And then I said, okay, dictation over. He threw the pencil like that. And he's like, just went like that. And I'm like, oh, so dedicated. I really appreciated him. So then, you know, when I go about asking the questions, okay, how many of you managed to do 5? How many of you actually give up? Then you know, he went up, he said, I give up at you. I'm like, oh, fair heart at you. He was a man. And so he seemed like he had a lot to share. So I said, okay, so why don't you share with us what went through your mind? And she's like, very hard at you, you know, very hard, you know, when I have to change the add sign into the vowel to the add sign, it slows me down at you. And then when I want to change, you go to the next word already, and I, you know, I'm guessing a lot of you are going through the same way, except he's a bit more expressive as compared to all of you. The other thing that I find when I was doing in front of the live audience was, these are teachers, by the way, who probably turn off the teacher mode maybe, you know, because it's a fun session to do. So when I asked them to do writing, and then the moment it got difficult, they just went, copy dia friends. Wah, under my nose some more. Happy only. Then I walk around and I said, copying aja. And I no lah. Just look only. But yeah, so these are real issues that our students with dyslexia face. So what just went through here really is they have to slow down when they're doing writing. And it slows down so much. They really have to slow down. And we think that as a teacher, I think that I'm going on a normal speed. This passage is simple. It's about osteoporosis. No biggie. Right? So why do I need to slow down? But what we forget is that the students with dyslexia, they need the extra energy to figure out what letter makes what sound. Right? So let's go back to the word cat, simplest of them all. The word cat, C-A-T, cat. So if my sentence is the cat, so he's gonna open like the analogy that Ms. Najmi said, the analogy, open the files or whatever. That's like, oh, the side word, the. Is it D-E? Cannot be. Maybe T-H-E. Okay, T-H-E. And then cat. K. Letter C, letter K, letter C-K. Which one is it? By the time that person write the letter C, all your other friends already done. And then now you want to spell the word osteoporosis. So it's really challenging for our students with dyslexia because they constantly have to remember the strategies. On top of that, use the energy to kind of figure out which sound makes which letter and things like that. So I'm looking at the chat here. Teachers make the worst students. I want to agree to that. Sometimes I can be the worst student. So stressful, cannot copy. Yeah, it is. So this is an excellent simulation on how to help you understand how a child or student with dyslexia would have to go through when they are required to do writing. Really, really challenging for them. Okay, so how then can we support their writing. So we went through reading just now, we went to spelling, we went through writing. There's this thing here, I need to remove it. Oh, I'm not sure if I can remove this. Okay, I'm just going to live with it. Stop here. Right, okay, I need to remove, I'm not sure how else to do it. If you can tell me another way to do it, I'll do it. Okay, so how to help them in their writing? Really, number one, if they are given the extra time, allow them to have that extra time. Okay, and then number two, when they are given when they're given time to do their own writing, we can help them do self-correction techniques such as this. This is one of the things that I put up on my board. So you know, sometimes my students, they get really excited that they finish their writing. It's just a sense of success when they finish writing. They write, and they say, "Jill, finish already." So then without checking, "Jill, finish already." So then I'll just casually take my visual reminder on the board and then pass them this. So what this visual reminders actually means is, number one, you look at the number one there, it goes up, then goes there. Essentially, that means begin your letters. Make sure your sentences begin with a capital letter. I should use my pen. Begin with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. Okay, always check that your sentences begin with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. I think Miss Najmi was saying about punctuation and things like that. So because you want to catch up with the teacher, you might miss, the students might miss out on punctuation. So this is one of the self-correction techniques that they can adopt to go back and make sure it starts with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. Of course, sometimes it may end with an exclamation mark, it may end with a question mark and things like that, but this is the simplest or the most basic self-correction technique to introduce first. Okay, and then number two is the read aloud and fill in any missing words. This one here, they would have to read it out. So let's say the sentence is maybe the student has written the cat on mat. Okay. So can we read that again? The cat, what? The cat on mat. Oh, missing a ch. The cat is on the mat. Excellent. Okay, you figured out what you kind of missed out. Take a moment and fill up the rest. Okay. So we want to encourage them to say it out loud so they can pick it up and then they can fill it up inside. There's another word for this is omission. Omission is maybe too big of a word for some students. So I try to simplify it and just read aloud and fill in any missing words. Okay, so this is one of the self-correction technique that our students can apply once they finish their writing. Another one would be, I think this is very, all right, so let me go through this one first. I think the other one that's very commonly used in schools would be stop, S-T-O-P, S referring to spelling, T referring to tenses, O omission, P punctuation. So then whenever they finish writing, you just go stop. Do you stop already? And then they have to check. A couple of my students would find doing S very difficult first. I have a student who actually came up, for me, I think this one is easier for me. So he found a way to manage to work it around. He said that it's easier for him to do punctuation first, followed by omission, followed by tenses, and followed by spelling. If that works for the child, it works for the child. Okay, so with that, I want to go back to the previous example. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 1 minute to kind of figure out what is this issues, what are some of the issues here. Is it S, is it T, or is it O, or is it P? Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute to try to identify the errors and then we will go through together. Thank you. Go to annotate label. Okay. Thank you. You've got about 20 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's stop here. Right, here we go. Okay, I've see a couple of you also interacted on the board. That's great. Right, let's go through first. Where's another one said something? It's all the stop signs there. Yes, it is. All of them there. Okay, so let's go through it. This, do you know Ryan did last weekend? Clearly there's something missing there. So then it could actually start with did. Wait. Okay, where's my pen? Did. So did would be tenses. You know would be the spelling. What? Something's missing here, omission. Ryan did last weekend. Yes, punctuation is correct. That should be a question mark. He went to the beach with his family. First, Ryan builded. That's correct. There's a spelling error there. A huge sand castle. Yes and no, I'm just going to accept this. Then he collected, correct, this is tenses, excellent, seashells and rocks, full stop. Yes, that is punctuation. After that, he went swimming, so this would be a spelling error, with his brother. Ryan had, yes, a wonderful time at the beach. I would actually encourage you to go to this. This is an excellent resource. I absolutely love, I actually like a lot of the resources here. Okay, so I got this from superteachersworksheet.com. So anyway, so what I'm trying to emphasize on is stop is one of the self-correction technique. This is the other one. This is a super basic one. Okay, and then there's also another one. All right, so I've been told to go to annotate and clear all drawings. Thank you very much. Clear my drawings as well. Clear all drawings. Okay, thank you. That's much better. Okay, so that's that. And then another method would be this, scope. Scope is also another acronym to help with the self-correction technique. I would say that this would help the older students or the slightly better functioning ones, those who can manage more words already. So, you know, S spelling, C capitalization, O, P, E. E means express complete thought, which is another word of saying writing incomplete sentences. If I'm going to do a comparison with a primary 1 student who have just joined some form of intervention, I would not suggest the word, I would not suggest scope. I would go to the most basic one, the one with the capital letter full stop and that one. Okay, then maybe a 12-year-old student who have gone through at least 1 or 6 months intervention could probably handle this self-correction technique scope. All right, so what I'm offering is a buffet of things. It's really about choosing one strategy that may help this child with dyslexia the most according to his needs. Okay, all right, so that's that. Copy this text. Okay, so let's see what's the know what build goes. Okay. Game time, another activity. I think this would be my last activity, I think. Okay, so basically what we just went through so far is learning friendly strategies to help students with writing. So number 1, we got to slow down because we know they need that extra time to decode and translate whatever that you're hearing into writing, extra time. Number 2, we can do the stop, provide self-correction techniques, one of them being stop. Then number 3, this one here, this is important to help identify what are the gaps they need to help them. In school, they probably have to copy a lot. So I will put this up and then we will discuss the difficulties that you face. Okay, let's give you 1 minute and then let me know what goes through there. Copy it word for word. This is referring the same topic on osteoporosis. Why I choose the topic osteoporosis? Because of the word. Osteoporosis is a long word. It's good to give you an idea of what it is. So you've got about 30 seconds to copy. I need you to copy word for word and then make sure that you have checked the capital letter, the full stop and whatnots. The spelling is also equally important. So make sure you're doing the self-correction techniques on your own as well, because this would also help you understand. I'm actually really just talking to make sure I can distract you. That's part of the activity. And I'm trying hard to figure out how I can distract you for another 9 more seconds. Because sometimes when we try to teach our students, we forget that we are in their background voice, and this does not help them with their concentration. We talk and talk, and then we hear that, oh, time's up. Okay, everybody pack your bag, time to go home. Okay, so what happened there? Let's see. Let's look at the feedback there. Yeah, I need to learn Korean language. This one, flip already. Cheer, goodbye. Okay. Cheer, I know no Korean. Okay, so clearly, this is another simulation to help you understand how a child with dyslexia only manage 1/6 of what is English. Yeah, so basically another simulation to help you understand how a child with a student with dyslexia will have or will feel when they are required to copy something from the board, or copy something from the textbook, or copy anything. Okay, when they first see it, they will only identify things that they are familiar with. Yeah, see the researchers lah, then the bone, no what lah, and then everything else is just alien to them. Like, this word researchers what? Then because you don't know how to spell, right? Then you will write one symbol per one symbol. Then you look one circle, then you look up, and then you look up, and that slows you down greatly. And then you go on researchers, don't know what. How? Okay, how osteoporosis I can spell, no problem. Spell. Then even with, okay, spell, no problem. Then towards the end, you see another alien word. Then you look up, and then you look down. Okay, let's look at take this. Maybe you copy here. You copy. Where's my pen? Maybe you copy here. Copy. Then go down. Okay, then I go down, put full stop, go up. Which line? Tadi just now I copy which line? Maybe this one should be this one. Look the same. I think I start copying from here. I think only. So then as a teacher, when you get back the paper, you're like, how come you only got 5 lines? I asked you to copy 10 lines, only got 5. How come? What happened? Tracking issues. So this is a real thing among our students with dyslexia, especially when they see words that are aliens. They will copy letter, 1 letter per letter. So words that they can recognize, right? Is, they write is, no problem. Then they see, bone, no problem, can spell bone, no problem. Then osteoporosis, need to rub my eyes a bit more. Okay, look up, look down, look up, look down. It's very challenging. Okay, so if I know that sometimes it is very hard to cater for one child in a group setting, so then the question is how then I can support the student with dyslexia in my classroom. There's not just him alone. So one of the things we can do is here. Okay, if possible, if you're writing this on the board, do it with colored markers. Okay, not all. So basically the first line may be in a black marker, followed by the second line, which is maybe a slightly lighter color, maybe a green marker. So that way, when the child or when the student is copying, he knows where he has stopped. Like just now, when you're copying the Korean words, you all know Korean, not bad. I didn't expect you guys to identify that as Korean. Watch a lot of K-drama, not bad you all. Okay, so anyway, distracted. Digressing. So anyway, the first line, if it's written in red line, the first line is written in black marker. So the student looks at it and it goes down and then looks up. Oh, just now I last copy from the black one. Now I go to the other color, which is the green one. So even though it may be alien to him, he is still able to track by himself and is still able to copy. I understand it's not easy to accommodate for a group of class, and then there's only one child with dyslexia. How am I supposed to accommodate for that? So this is one of the many ways, one of the learning friendly strategies. We use colored markers for different lines so the child can track easily. Okay, number 2, underline. This could be 2 ways. Let's say you don't have colored markers, you only have 1 marker. You can underline the words on alternate lines. So let's say you underline the first sentence, then the second one you don't underline, and the third one you underline. So it still helps with the tracking. So he sees the alien words, he track, then he go down, he go up. Where? Oh, that one, the underlined one. Then he knows where to go. Okay. Another way, still on the underline issue, still on the underline topic, you underline the keywords lah. I think this is something you all do all the time anyway. Just underline the keywords and things like that. Okay. The other learning friendly strategy is leave on the board long enough. Yeah, especially for homework. Okay. Homework, I think a lot of educators are already practicing this. They write it at the corner of the whiteboard or the blackboard. I think whiteboard, right at the corner, and leave it there. And the student will have more than enough time to copy it. Yeah, I know of some educators who will print the text that needs to be copied, but leave some words out. Yeah, so he still needs to copy. He just copies less, but because he copies less but takes more time, he finishes about the same time as his peers. And that makes him feel kind of included as well. I thought that was an excellent way to kind of cater for a group of students. Yeah, this is an experience from one of the educators. I didn't do it because I usually don't really teach one student on 1 to 4. This is an educator in the mainstream school. So print out the text and leave out some words, but just, okay, you need to copy whatever it's missing. It kind of helps the child as well. Okay, and number 4, avoid distractions. You see, just now you all copy, I talk. Very distracting. I purposely talk one. Yeah, because sometimes as an educator myself, I sometimes forget. Like, hey, don't remember to this, the background voice. And then the student is trying so hard to like, see, guys what? So noisy. People trying to write this is so noisy. Yeah, distraction. So we try to be more mindful for these students. Once we give them a task, we just try to give them space and try to help them to figure it out. Okay, avoid distractions. Okay, let's look at the chat so far. Is there a question? Okay. I wonder how children with dyslexia read Arabic Quran. Yeah, anybody have experience hands-on on this? That's a good question. I think English and Malay alphabet are difficult for them, especially with 2 different vowel sounds between the 2 languages. Okay. I think I will acknowledge this language question soon.
Yeah, Teacher Hannah, I'm wondering whether all these strategies can be applied on Arabic language.
Okay. Arabic language. Okay.
If yes, then you and me can work it out together next time.
Okay. All right. I will. Okay. I will. Okay. So let's address this slightly later. Yes, because this is an important language, important topic with the keyword transparency. Okay. Okay. Let's summarize this first, and then we'll go through that. Okay. So what happens here is I have gone through 2 parts of this talk. Let's time frame. Okay, 5 minutes to 12. So what I've covered so far is understand the diversity of dyslexia. I've covered that, and what I've just gone through just now are learning friendly strategies to support reading, spelling, and writing. So I've gone through the last part was writing, the self-correction techniques. Okay, so we are actually moving on to the last part, which is basically to talk about motivation, understanding learners' motivation. So these are the areas that I'll be going through. I think this will be quite quick. So do I want to address this? Give me a moment. Arabic language. Okay, since we are doing on the support strategies, let's talk about that. Okay, so the thing about dyslexia is, let's go back to the original term of dyslexia. Dyslexia means difficulty, lexia with languages that, the symbols that make words. So difficulty with symbols that make words, which means that a student with dyslexia will have difficulty in a couple of other languages. But it really depends on the transparency of the language. What does transparency means? Okay, so for example, if I'm comparing Bahasa Melayu and English, okay, there are some students who will be able to handle Malay much easier as compared to English. Why? Because Malay is considered to be more transparent than English. So let's say, for example, the letter A in Melayu, A says A. Does it say any other way? No. Just by that, it is only A and A only. But then when you go on to English, the letter A makes the A sound, the A sound, the sound. Okay? Now let's go back to Bahasa Melayu. In a way, Melayu, we have some words to represent tenses. Dia sudah makan. But it's not so complicated as compared to English. We have the present tense, we have the past tense, we have the continuous tense, we have the past participle. So he will be eating, he is eating, he has eaten, and things like that. So with that in mind, Malay is more transparent than English. Yeah, so our students may be able to handle Malay much better than English because it's more transparent. Okay, I would have to, I thought I saw a Chinese name or an English name. I'm not sure what that was. So I think I'm going to take this opportunity to acknowledge the Mandarin language. So the Mandarin language, it's less transparent as compared to the English language because it has strokes. And on top of the strokes, it uses Hanyu Pinyin. Okay, I still haven't got around to say it correctly. I think the Hanyu Pinyin is men. I'm still struggling. I'm not sure how that goes, but that's the Hanyu Pinyin. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is there is a sequence for writing Mandarin word. So there is the first sequence, there's a second sequence, and the third sequence. And on top of that, you must be able to identify that sequence and then translate it into the correct Hanyu Pinyin. So if you write like this, it's not men, but men. So that's a bit more challenging or less transparent as compared to the English language. And also there is a sequence. So the first stroke must go this way, the second stroke must go this way. Our students with dyslexia, I have come across this student who is unable to write any further than 4 strokes. So in Mandarin, they need to have a lot of strokes, but he can only do 4. Anything than 4, he cannot. He has poor working memory. That's it. So because of that, he's exempted.
Is that the reason, part of the reason why we have the Malay, mother tongue exemption?
Yes. So I would have to tell you that I have very little knowledge about the Arabic language, but perhaps I would think that the transparency of the Mandarin language is quite similar to the transparency of the Arabic language. I probably need to read up more on this Arabic language. Maybe because by then I can work something out.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Now I'm wondering about Tamil.
Tamil, right? If I can give you, let me share my whiteboard. Okay, if I can give you a line, So this is the line. So Malay would be, if I'm going to compare Malay, English, Tamil, and Mandarin. Okay, if I can give you a line here, Malay would be the most transparent language, followed by Tamil, followed by English, and the least transparent would be Mandarin. Yeah. So Tamil, they have vowel sounds that one vowel makes about, they have vowels, and one vowel makes about only 2 sounds only. So which is not as many as the English that has a gazillion sounds in one vowel. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but that's the idea. In comparison to all the mother tongue language in Singapore, Malay is the most transparent, followed by Tamil, followed by English, and then Mandarin. Okay, okay. Stop share. All right, so that's that. Okay, let's get back to my slides. Okay, here. Right, so let's go to the chat first. But can we still teach them how to talk in Malay? Yes, we can. Absolutely can. Our students with dyslexia, at least the students that I've taught who has been exempted from mother tongue, they're still allowed to sit in for classes, no issues. So this would help them still to pick up the vocabulary when they're sitting in the Malay classroom, and they will be encouraged to participate as per usual. They will be encouraged to sit for class tests, except those won't be marked because they are exempted. But they are strongly encouraged to still come for classes and things like that. Although I know there are some students who will be called out by the AED during the mother tongue to work on their English instead. So yes, they can still pick up the language, not an issue auditorily. Can we still teach them how to talk in Malay? Yes. Talk, speak easy, write tough. That's true. I believe the strategy shared by Ms. Hannah can be tweaked and applied for Quran reading. The idea is to develop student intrinsic. Yes, correct. I will be, yes. It is possible. Yes. Yes, I don't know how to pronounce Tarzanim's Par. It's a good movie on dyslexia. Yes, I watched that movie. It is a good representation. It's not an excellent representation, but it is one of the representation of dyslexia. Okay, excellent. I love how interactive all the participants are. Okay, all right. So time, 12 o'clock. Okay, so we have about half an hour and I think I should be finishing it in 15 minutes. Then I'll open for question and answer again. Okay, so how to understand learners' motivation. I think this is something everybody is aware of. Extrinsic motivation. You can give them stickers and a reward system and things like that. So I'm not going to go through exactly all the extrinsic motivation. I believe everybody understands what motivates them externally. We usually try to, the extrinsic motivation refers to two things, rewards and modifying the environment. We modify the environment so that the child will be able to feel a sense of success. And number two, no longer feel that thing called learned helplessness, which I go through in a bit. Learned helplessness. Okay, go through in a bit. Okay, so the issue really is at the end of the day, how then can we translate extrinsic motivation into intrinsic motivation? Because we can't always be giving them rewards, we can't always be giving them stickers and whatnot. So how can we translate extrinsic motivation into intrinsic motivation? It is a process. It is not a miracle, and it will take a while. One of the many ways we can do is really give the responsibility back to the child. Yeah, how do we do this? So, so for example, if a child is able to do something, we can start saying, this is absolutely this is useful for the younger learners. When they are able to do something, we say, oh, I see that you managed to do this. I'm proud of you. Don't you think you're proud of yourself? So you see there's an external form of motivation, and then you're slowly giving back to the child. Aren't you proud of yourself? So that's one of the steps to kind of move from extrinsic motivation into intrinsic motivation. Give the responsibility back to the child slowly and eventually. Okay, so maybe, another way would be, oh, look, you managed to complete one more word. Last time you didn't manage to do any words. So today you managed to do one more word. That's great. I'm happy for you. Are you happy for yourself? Sometimes these students, they just kind of, downplay things and like, oh, but we kind of need to stop themselves from suppressing it. So that would help increase the intrinsic motivation eventually. All right. Yeah, so basically one of the ways is to help them reflect upon their feelings. Help them reflect that they have achieved something. Help them see that there has been success. Because a couple of times these students, they are just so used to failure that any form of success, they feel that it's not their responsibility and it's not by them. I managed to do this because the test was easy. The teacher make it easy. You know how they kind of put it away, make sure it's the teacher's responsibility. But we really need to make them feel that they did it. Reflect. You did it. Aren't you happy about it? Reflect upon it. Okay, try to tai chi back to the kid lah. In other words, tai chi back. You did it. Don't you think so? Okay. This one here. I like this technique. It's called reframing. Just take a moment to look at that. Reframing is basically trying to spin it into a positive. See, what a day. My printer's broken. My report just got rejected and I spilled coffee on myself. Woohoo, what a day. I learned how to fix a printer, how to repair a report, and how to remove coffee stains. Yeah, I would be sad if my coffee spills. Coffee is life. But yes, I should learn from experience that I would learn how to be able to remove coffee stains. Okay, so reframing is another technique. Reframing itself is another exercise. This is something I will be going through in the second part of my talk. Okay, if you are interested, you can Google Project Virtue. This is one, so basically one example would be, let's say a student really does not want to do anything. So an example I could use is, I can see that you are very persistent. Could we be a little less persistent and a bit more flexible? What can we do to make you a little bit more flexible? So even though the child is very persistent and it may seem like it is a negative, which is not actually, it's really a positive. But at this very moment, we need to kind of reduce that persistence and try to increase another set of virtue, which is flexibility. All right. So then, okay, can we, how can you think we can reduce a little bit of the persistence? I like how persistent you are. Don't give up on it. Just reduce the persistence. And how do you think we can increase on the flexibility? Let's explore that. So that's reframing, one of the many ways of reframing, right? Which is something I will go through in the second part of my talk. Okay. The gemas apa tu? What picture is that? Okay. There is something wrong with my mouse. Okay, so essentially what we are trying to inculcate is the growth mindset. I think a lot of you are aware of this already. I know a lot of you know the term intrinsic motivation and growth mindset. Really, we want to be able to ensure that the child is motivated, self-motivated, and sees that everything is an opportunity to grow. Okay, I actually have a student. So that's why the picture there. I have a student. Let's just call him Anwar, not Anwar Zain, just Anwar. So let's just call him Anwar. Anwar, when I first saw him, he was a 17-year-old student. 16. When I first met him, he was a 16-year-old student. He was severely dyslexic. Severely dyslexic. He's 16 and he's reading at 7 years old. So can you imagine how severely dyslexic he is? But the beauty of that was that he was absolutely hardworking, determined, and he was just, was just there. Yeah. So Anwar came in, and he's always, come in, he's cheery. One time he was doing his work, he even like, you should get married, out of the blue. I don't know why, but that was a long time ago. So fast forward one day, this cheerful 16-year-old boy came in one fine day with his shoulders slouched, and he just walks in, and I just instantly know something was not right. So then I asked, Anwar, are you okay? Is there something you want to talk about? And then he said, N level's coming at you. He said that. Okay, yes. And we are here to continue trying. So what else do you have in mind? So then he said, hard at you, and he has been having this issue called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness basically means no matter how hard I try, I'm still going to fail anyway. So why bother trying? So that's learned helplessness. So I've been addressing that almost every other class, and he was picking it up and he was going okay with it. But today, that day was a bit of a down moment, and we decided to address it a bit more. And also because I think I was not fully mindful, and so I said this term. I said, okay lah, it's all right. I know, as long as you try your best, okay. And then he stopped, and then he looked at me. Let's say I need to break the wall. Let's say I need to break a wall, and then I use a pencil to break the wall. I cannot break the wall, right, Che? So even if I try my best, I use a pencil to break the wall, I cannot break the wall, right, Che? He was getting somewhere. I'm like, yes, that's true. So Che, it's not about doing my best. It's about doing the right thing. Am I doing the right thing or not, Che? Like, just mind blown. This 16-year-old boy just blew my mind. He was absolutely right. I can see, do all your best, but is he actually doing the right thing? Excuse me. So then I took it as a sign that he was really ready to go ahead without all these cushions around him. He was ready to take the fight. And then I said, okay, seems like you're ready. Are you ready? Yes, teacher. Show me the right thing to do. What is the right way to do it? So I just gave him the hard lessons. That was it. So he has always been an inspiration for me since. I will never forget Anwar. I can't, obviously I can't pronounce it. I can't say his real name. Yeah, he has always been an inspiration. Always. Gazillion years later, he will always be my inspiration, and he has been following me. I mean, we still contact each other, Instagram and all that. He attended my wedding. He's a sweet little boy, and now I can see that he is doing his own way to be a successful young man. He has not given up. He took his N level. He took his he went to ITE, then he took higher NITEC, and then he moved on and he got a good job. I'm so happy for him. So Noah, wherever you're out there, if you know that I'm talking about you, this is for you. Okay, good job. Carry on. Believe in yourself in this growth mindset that you have. So really, one is to help the child reflect, but in this case, he made me reflect. Number two would be to do reframing techniques. One of them is using virtues, which I will expand a bit more on the second part of the talk. Let's quickly just summarize this with this video. Okay. So let's play this video.
You have mentioned before that you had dyslexia.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but how did you find out later?
Well,
that
my
you had
daughter
dyslexia?
brought a dyslexia specialist. He was in Singapore for some conference, and she knew she had dyslexia, but in a stronger form than mine. So she's seen some of my spelling mistakes. So she suspected that I've got dyslexia. So he brought him to see me in the office. And he put me several questions, asked me to spell out certain words. So he says, you've got mild dyslexia. But I went through life, I think I was already 50 plus or 60. I overcame it. I should have come to that conclusion that something was wrong when I did a course in speed reading. And I did not succeed. And it's not because I'm stupid, because I usually have to run my eye back to make sure that I got the right word. So that slows me down. But because I read more slowly, I read only once and it sticks. So there are compensations. The important thing is not to be discouraged and feel I'm disabled, no. Leonardo da Vinci was dyslexic, so what? He was a great artist, sculptor, thinker. So I'm not comparing myself to him. But if he can overcome dyslexia, fortunately, I overcame it without my knowing it.
So this is a short video of our late minister mentor. I was going to say my late minister mentor, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, our very first prime minister. He has dyslexia. And it just goes to show that he did not use dyslexia as a crutch. He pressed on, he was persistent, and he overcame it. So hopefully we are also able to inculcate this growth mindset in our students, and hopefully they can be as successful in their reading, spelling, and their writing. So these are some of the things you can Google online. Actually, one of my favorite resources to go through is Big Life Journal. So there's the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And so how then we can encourage our students to go through this growth mindset. Okay, I think one of the things that Anwar was going through was this. he was actually quite resistant to a couple of my exercises, and then we addressed it. We actually have to address it. Okay, why do you feel this way? How do you think we could go about doing it? And he finally come around to the idea that, you know, I will need to be a bit more persistent, because sometimes persistence pays. And that part where he said, "Che, am I doing the right thing?" This one lah wants to improve. He is so incredible. I'll never forget him. Okay, so I won't be going through exactly in details, but what I'm trying to say is there are so many resources about growth mindset out there. There are even worksheets or visuals to help our students translate from extrinsic motivation into intrinsic motivation, and one of them would be this growth mindset. All right. Okay, so there's another video that I want to show you. Discard. Okay, let's okay, one more video. This is very, very recent, so if you have the time, I would really encourage you to watch this. This is from Channel News Asia, and Diana Sir has managed to bring about a couple of older learners who have difficulties in reading, spelling, and writing, and how she tries to acknowledge the difficulties that they have. So the title of that is Rite of Passage. So you can go to Channel News Asia and look up for it. I love how she has done this. It's beautiful. And she talks about some of these people who actually have dyslexia and has not been able to receive intervention even at the age of 35. Okay, so let's take a look.
How lonely it would feel to be an illiterate adult who has to struggle silently. So a month into our intervention, I decided to bring the 4 adults together for a meetup. Xiaoling, over here. It's been about a month, I think, since you started your lesson. So today I want to add a bit of a challenge. Please write down one word that represents how you feel when you struggle to read and write. You have 2 minutes to do this. Just one word. Now I'm going to call upon each of you to show me the word you have written and tell me why you wrote that word. Xiaoling? Okay. Sad. Okay. Stefan? Okay. Jacob? Sad. Jimmy, let's take a look. Oh, you're sad too. Now you're making me feel sad. Something seems to be going on here. I'm sure that you all feel sad, but I suspect that there may be a little bit more to this than just being sad. Xiaoling, do you really feel sad, or is there something else you feel?
Actually, I wanted to write spell nervous, 紧张啊, because I cannot read some of the words. I feel nervous, but I don't know to spell nervous.
When they all came out with the same word, sad, it should come as no surprise to me, because even if they were to feel more complicated emotions, how are they going to put it down in writing? I feel that they do miss out on something when they are short of one avenue of expressing themselves.
I just want to write bad and be shameful. I really don't know how to write that.
Actually, I want to write feel humiliated. My last time secondary friend, they say that, hey, your English so bad, how do you go to poly? All kind of nasty words. So sometimes I will try to hide myself to not let other people know about my weak point.
Do the rest of you do that? Make yourself less visible, hide yourself? Jager, you are nodding.
Example, if like I write the wrong English alphabets, only I can understand. That's why I don't share to them or what I write.
So it's like a secret language that only
like
you yourself understand.
I spell the word very funny one, like spaghetti, then I don't know how to spell. I will break it to 3 words like spaghetti, like my own word like broken English, very funny one.
Okay. But do you try to hide it or not make friends with other people because you feel that you don't know how to read or write?
I know I write like this, they will laugh at me
Okay.
They say me very funny
But you're perfectly okay with that?
Yeah, okay. I tell them like I'm the clown make them happy, make them laugh
I see. Jimmy, Stefan, Jager, and Xiaoling have all found ways to cope with the shame of illiteracy.
Okay, so that is just a short excerpt about that. You can watch that on Channel News Asia, Rite of Passage. What I'm trying to say is really hopefully the strategies that I've shared so far can help our students with dyslexia cope with their learning difficulty. You can see that they are really struggling. They find it shameful sometimes. They hide themselves. But I think with the right intervention, they will be able to reach their potential. And hopefully with the sharing that I have today, hopefully you will be the change for these students or these learners with dyslexia, and you can give them hope and even just magic to them to show that they can reach their potential and that they can achieve much more. You will just have to remind them, you know, it's not going to be an easy road, but I'm here with you and it's going to be manageable. Eventually, it will work out, inshallah. All right. And so with that, I'm going to summarize what we've gone through so far. I've covered these three areas to understand the diversity of dyslexia. I went through the different learning friendly strategies to support reading, spelling, and writing, and just went through and to understand about learners' motivation. So that's with that, I've come to the end of my sharing session. I hope that I am able to give you quite a bit of information. I will be going through, like I mentioned, syllabication, morphology, and a bit more of reframing on the second part of the talk. So please join me again on the 30th of October. And with that, thank you very much. If you have any questions for now, we're going to open the floor, right, Mrs. Zubaida?
Yes, yes. Okay, we open up for any question before the end of the session at 12:30 soon.
Okay.
Salah, sorry
So I have a question.
One question from the floor from Miss Aida. How do we help kids with dyslexia learn multiplication tables?
Okay, so this is the thing. The children with dyslexia, because I'm going to address dyslexia will refer to words, then multiplication refers to number. So there are a couple of things that I need to clarify. Number one, I would think that you would feel a child with dyslexia might have working memory issues. That's why this child would have an issue learning multiplication table. Right? So what we can look out for is working memory strategies. So it's not so much dealing with dyslexia, it's dealing with a poor working memory. So one of the many things really is finding a pattern. If we are able to find a pattern for the child, that would be one of the ways. Patterns help to simplify the bigger things into small things, help them clump. So if there is anything, a lot of the memory techniques is really about clumping information. So if you're able to find a way to help clump information for the child or find patterns, that would help with the poor working memory of the child. So another way would be visually. We can put pictures beside the multiplication table. Okay, clearly rote memorization or learning 1 times 2, 2 times 2 may not work for the child, but the music or the tempo, or the music or the tempo or the rhythm of that 1 times 2 may work for the child with poor working memory. Okay, thank you. Next question. Do they have any other behavior that we have to look out for? Yes and no. No, maybe because a student with dyslexia may be able to manage himself, so he may not have any other difficulties to cover himself, like just now the video on the Channel News Asia. So there's this lady who say, I'm the clown, I make them laugh. That's actually a masking behavior, which is actually acceptable. So, you know, in a way, you don't have to look out for that behavior because it's quite compliance in a classroom setting, in a way. However, there would be, that goes both ways. It could be a positive and it could be a negative. The child might have anxieties, and so he would, you know, he will like act up in class and say, you know, they would try to get away from the task and maybe be the non-compliant student in the classroom just to get away from that. But that would be the anxiety working up. Okay, any other behaviors we have to look out for? This would refer to another answer would be we will probably need to look at the secondary symptoms. So the primary symptoms of dyslexia would be the reading, spelling, and writing. So the secondary symptoms would be poor working memory, weak processing speed, attention issues, and some of the other things. So if you are able to identify the secondary symptoms, then we can work slowly on that as well. Okay, so that I have answered. Do you have any other behavior that we need to look out for? Right. Next question by Danish. My child have problem doing writing, P4 students. Okay, so if you feel that there has been some issues with the writing, what we can do is the first step to really figure out if my child really has an issue is to look for a what is that called, self checklist, basically a checklist. Okay, I have had a couple of parents out there who has emailed me or DM me and said, I have my child this and this. Do you have a checklist I can refer to? I'll be more than happy to email you the checklist so you can see, oh, problems with this, okay, problems with this is there. And if there are more the problems that you need and you feel that needs to be addressed, then you can go to the next step. By referring to the teacher and ask the teacher, oh, you know, I have this checklist and he has these issues, what can I do next? So checklist is one small step to see the child really has some form of learning difference. You can also find this learning checklist online, no issues. You can also email me, no issues. I'll be more than happy to pass this checklist online, free and easy. Another way, if you really feel that the child needs some form of assessment, then send the child for a psychological assessment. Thank you. Next one. Will dyslexia go away as the child grow up? Dyslexia will not go away. It is a brain-based difficulty, which means it will always be there. But for as long as the child can remember the strategies and manage them, it would appear that it has disappeared, but it hasn't really disappeared. It just really means that the child remembers the strategy and is able to manage them. There are some cases where the dyslexia has gone away, and then suddenly came back. So it just really means that the child managed to overcome dyslexia, and then the academic demands increases. Like, I don't have the skill to manage the academic demands. So therefore the dyslexia comes back, but it really hasn't gone away, really. It's really about remembering the strategies and managing the emotions and everything that comes with it. Okay. Thank you. Empathy towards students with dyslexia isn't enough. Strategies like this will work hand in hand for them to be empowered. Thank you very much. Yes, empathy is absolutely one of the many things I believe a lot of the educators are doing, and strategies like this will hopefully help the others to help really understand our students, how they are struggling so much in class. Thank you. Thank you. It is easier to identify children with dyslexia for writing, but how to identify when it comes to reading, like differentiate between late bloomer versus dyslexia, especially for younger children? This is an excellent question. I've had this question a couple of times. How do I differentiate between a late bloomer and dyslexia? Just by looking, nobody will know. Even I won't know. Really, I won't. I would not be able to differentiate. So once again, if you feel like the child needs some form of, if you feel already there's some form of red flags, firstly, get a checklist. The checklist will give you an idea, because in the checklist, it will not just narrow down dyslexia. The checklist will talk about attention issues, movement issues, some other issues that has got to do with a learning difficulty. So this checklist will give you the idea that, oh, maybe he really doesn't have an issue with reading. Maybe he just has an issue with attention. So it's not that we have to deal with his reading, it's just we have to deal with his attention, you know, just for example. So the checklist will give you a better idea of whether gives you a direction of sorts as to whether what kind of step or next step that you need to go, really. Yeah. So when it comes to reading, yes, it's really hard. I had another question. It's a very common question is, yeah, my children has problem reading. He is in K1 now. So how late or how early should I? Once again, there is no right or wrong. If you feel that needs to be sent, go ahead. But early intervention is always best. My personal take is if the child is not exposed to the English language or the curriculum properly yet, then we cannot identify the child having issues. So let's say, for example, the child goes for classes for 2 hours a day in comparison to another child who goes for a childcare center for like 8 hours a day. He's probably more exposed to the English language, I think, in a way, as compared to the child with 2 hours. So I can't really say that, hey, the child with, the child that goes to 2 hour setting, his problems might go for checklists and things like that. I can't really say that. So it's really about the exposure and how much he has been practicing the vocabulary. And even with the exposure, he still has difficulty picking up all these skills. Then that is a proper red flag to be acknowledged. Okay, all right. I hope I managed to answer all questions.
Teacher Hannah, there's few here.
Okay.
When I scroll down, okay, self-help, or is there any other?
Oh, I didn't scroll down, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, does can be expensive. So is there any other way?
Okay. It can be expensive. I would think that there is bursary provided, and if you have actually gone through the option of applying for bursary and it's still relatively expensive for you, I can understand that. There are other avenues to go get intervention, actually, DS being one of them, Epsworth being another. There's a lot of couple more, so you just have to Google. Otherwise, what I'm trying to say, too excited, sorry, I'm really passionate about this. What I'm trying to say is, okay, this topic, actually, I will be addressing it in my second talk. For as long as the help is structured, it will help in managing the dyslexia. Okay, so the so-called way to help support the child with dyslexia is using structured literacy. So that's the key thing. So why DS works is because they're using a structured literacy approach, catering for the students with dyslexia. And so are all the other centers. They're using a structured literacy approach. So what you need to look out for is ask the question, are you providing a structured literacy approach? Can I take a look at it? Can I see how structured it is? So essentially that's it. Look for a structured literacy approach. You can also read this up. You can Google, how can I help my student with dyslexia? Or Google structured literacy approach for dyslexia. There'll be lots of that. They'll give you an idea of what structured literacy means. Okay.
I guess your reply on a structured literacy approach replied to Mr. Danish as well. Ways to help child with spelling, right? It is still the same, reply.
Yes, that's right. I think I missed that one out, but thank you for pointing out. Yes, that's right.
Okay, I think that's all from the floor, but I'm sharing with all of you the feedback form. But before the feedback form, let me share you. It's on 31st, Teacher Hannah, not 30. Okay, for those who have signed up, you'll be receiving my confirmation email and also the details. All right, for those who have yet to sign up, okay, you may do so as stated on the slides here, right? On part 2, do you have any kind of idea what you will be sharing?
Yes, I will. I will be going through more about the syllabication pattern, because just now I only went through, right? So syllabication pattern, I'll be going through how morphology, how to cut words using morphology types. And then we will go through the reframing techniques. So basically, how do we use virtues to help encourage or motivate the child?
Okay, that's great. Okay, so before we end our lesson, I will just need your feedback. Later, I will be sending SMS too. And teacher, will you be sharing your slides with the participant?
Yes, I will be sharing the slides with my participants. So I will pass to you, Ustazah Zubaida, and then you will be emailing them, right? Okay.
I'll be emailing the post materials like somewhere around next week, inshallah. And yeah, for those who have signed up for the next program, okay, you'll be receiving my Zoom, the Zoom details and all that. And also on behalf of Masjid Al-Islah and also Raikan Ilmu MENDAKI, we'd like to thank everyone who participated today. Okay, and don't forget to visit raikanilmu.sg for more information and a lot of beneficial programs, inshallah. All right, until then, I will see you all again in next round, inshallah. Okay,
Thank you very much, everybody. Assalamualaikum. Bye-bye.
5 minutes, can teacher? If anyone got any questions or anything, okay, for those who want to take leave, you may take leave now. Right, thank you so much for attending for today's workshop. Yeah, you're welcome. Everyone's saying thank you, Miss Hannah. For all right, thank you so much for your attendance.
Hi, Miss Hannah, I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, my daughter has mild autism and also dyslexia.
Okay.
We don't know yet which part of dyslexia she has, but we do know at least she has dyslexia lah. We don't know whether she has the calculus part yet. Calculia yet, sorry. So the strategies that you actually share here, will I still be able to use it with her?
Okay, so yes, you may be able to use it with her, but I would think you would have to fine tune. How to fine tune? I'm not sure because I have yet to interact with your child. So these are broad strategies. So I would think that you know your child best. So you can use these techniques, of course, and if you feel the need to kind of change it a bit to suit to your child's needs, then by as well. I mean, you don't have to like follow A, B, C like that. You don't have to. Yeah, for as long as it meets to your child's needs, that would be okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you too.
Miss Hannah.
Yes, please.
Can I ask a question here?
Yes.
Yeah. For not every child that have so-called difficulties in identifying D and B, Q and P are dyslexic, right?
Right.
But how do we actually know that without being, maybe the child is too young or what?
Okay.
How can we help the child to recognize? Is it by practice reading or how?
Okay, so yes, the B and D confusion or reversal is not one of the main identification of dyslexia. It could be that the child is still young, and in terms of trying to understand orthographic or in terms of space and whatnot, it's actually quite common among students with dyslexia or without dyslexia, especially for young children. It's pretty common. Okay. So one of the ways you can do is this. Okay, so I think it's a mirror.
The activity just now.
And then the P and Q. Yeah, so basically what we have to do is we have to print it out. You can also print out, you can write BD, look for BD, BED. Wait, I should Google this. Wait, I can show you. Share my screen. Okay. Oh no, I can't share my screen. Okay, so you can Google B and D, look for B, spell the word BED, and then BD techniques. So there are actually visuals out there on Google to help to remember B and D and also P and Q. So you can print that out. You can also do this. So whenever a child is going through a B and D, you just ask the child to slow down. Okay, I understand. Okay, let's see a little bit again. Slow down. Because sometimes your eyes just move too fast. So we just expect them to slow down. So there is really not an issue of them identifying because sometimes they just go too fast.
I see.
Yeah, so just get them to slow down, show them the visual reminder, and basically it takes a lot of reminders and habits and routines. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Hello, Miss Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Fiza here. Just another question.
Okay.
Riding on to what the previous question was.
Okay.
My daughter is 5 years old.
Okay.
Recently, I started teaching her Arabic as well.
Okay.
So she has got this. Every time we write in English, letterings, right? Or like she can make out the sound. But when she writes words like what do you call it? Oh, numbers, if I'm not mistaken, numbers. She starts with number 3 and 9 in a mirror image, and then B and D is of course another one. The other one is Q and P.
Okay.
And then at the same time 2 and Hamza also.
Okay.
So, I am not sure whether it's a red flag. I mean, do I raise a concern, or should also same thing? I should just be more emphasize more on like, oh, okay, we slow down. This is Hamza, so you got to write number 2 the other way around. Or
Okay.
yeah.
So so your child is 5 years old, yes? Yes, so he is confusing. I can see the 2 and the Hamza and the 3 and an I get it. Okay, so I think right now, as of now, 5 years old, yes, it's a little bit too young to kind of red flags, because what I see here is reversal. And my next question is there any other difficulty that the child is having? So the next, my next question, you don't have to answer it, but if there's this reversal and it's accompanied by a couple of other difficulties, then perhaps it could be a red flag. But if it's just reversal and just reversal per se, perhaps not so much of a red flag.
Are you saying like morbidity, like ADHD, something like that? Not that, like meltdown or something.
So if the child has difficulty with reversals and also takes a lot of time to write words, find it difficult to express himself, find it difficult to retain a lot of other information or memory when we are learning, forgets easily, and things like that. So they are all the other things. So in terms of retaining information, memory, attention, and things like that. So on top of reversal and other things, if he has a lot of if the child has other challenges when he is learning, it could be a red flag. But if the challenge that he has is just reversal, then you will probably need to just focus on that and see how long he takes to get over this.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, that being said, if he is confusing with 3 and Ain, one of the ways to sort of support that would be trying to remind the child, okay, we are doing math. So what you've written here is Bahasa Arab. So we're not really doing Bahasa Arab now. So we are doing math, and it's English math. So we'll write 3 this way and things like that.
Bring the child back to being aware of what we're doing, because it can also be like halfway through she forgets that we're doing actually this.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly it. Yes, that's right. Okay.
Thanks.
Hope I managed to answer your question.
Oh yes, thanks.
Thank you.
I think we will pick up one last question, Hisana. Is it better to focus on one specific language, or or many other language at young time?
It really depends on your child. If your child has been diagnosed with dyslexia and the psychologists have suggested to not take a second language, then we would have to consider the psychologist's recommendation really strongly. However, if the child is still young and they are not being diagnosed yet, it's really up to your discretion. If the child is not diagnosed, number one, if the child is still young, and number two, is not diagnosed, then you'd have to see if he is struggling in the main language that he's learning. So let's say if the native or the main language is English, and if he's not struggling with English already, then by all means introduce him, because at that age the brain is able to retain a lot of information. They are young, the brain is malleable, you just get it, go. But if you see that the child is really struggling even at the one language, and the child is not feeling any sense of success, perhaps it's time to slow down and just consider English and Malay or English and Arabic or things like that. So there are a couple of factors to take a look at. If it's diagnosed and strongly suggested, probably no. You probably need to take into the psychologist assessment really seriously. But if he's young and not yet diagnosed and he doesn't struggle with English, by all means go ahead. But if he's struggling, then we probably need to reconsider. Yep.
Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for your participation. So I'll end the meeting now. And teacher, I will message you lah. Okay. All right. On behalf of Raikan Ilmu MENDAKI and Masjid Alista, thank you everyone for your participation, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Take care everyone. Stay safe.